Imagine you're at the grocery store and you need to buy some apples. So you head over to the produce section and you are happy to see that your favorite variety of apples is on sale. In fact, there are 2 tables filled with these apples. The first table of apples is 99 cents per pound, and the second table of apples, same variety, is $1.99 per pound. The cheaper apples are conventional, and the more expensive apples are organic. So, which apples are you going to choose to buy, and why? Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmaster, and honored guests, I want to help simplify your shopping experience by giving you just a few tips to help you navigate through the produce section at your local store. We'll talk briefly about some of the differences between organic farming and conventional farming, what's the difference between the produce, and I'll also give you a helpful way to identify which produce is better for you and your family. I've been a lifelong health fanatic. For as long as I remember, for being a young girl, I've been interested in learning about fitness and health. And I realize now that shopping for food is a lot different than it ever used to be. And there are a couple of reasons for that. The first is we know a lot more about how food affects our bodies than we've ever known before. The other reason is we have more access to more options, especially here in the United States. And according to the Organic Trade Association, organic food sales, they reached over $45 billion last year in 2017. And compare that to 20 years ago in 1997 when organic food sales were only a little over $3 billion. So demand is increasing and it's actually outpacing the supply. And when you consider what we're talking about today is the produce, organic produce, fresh produce represents 90% of all organic food sales. So what's the difference between organic and conventional produce? Well, first I want to say farming is hard work, no matter what kind of farming you do. Organic farming or conventional farming, it's hard work. And I am grateful for all the farmers and their families who devote their lives to growing food that we eat. Now, something to consider when you look at conventional farming, another word for conventional farming is industrial farming, and it's more mass production. And conventional farmers are allowed to use chemical pesticides, fertilizers, and synthetic products to manage their crops. Compare that to organic farmers. They need to manage their crops in accordance with the laws of nature. So, for example, an organic farmer might rely on birds and other insects to consume the insects that are possibly attacking their crops. They can also plant, I've read where they plant certain plants that they know will repel certain pests. It's also very labor intensive to be an organic farmer. They do a lot of hand weeding. So the reason you see a higher cost in your organic produce is because it's so expensive and labor intensive. They also have to meet rigorous standards by the United States Department of Agriculture. So that's the reason I know a lot of people sometimes get up in arms about that. When you, not just about the money, but the cost to you, the consumer, and to our environment to consider, when conventional farmers use these chemicals and pesticides, they are affecting our environment and also and humans. So there have been studies that have linked pesticides to cancers, different infertility problems, and brain and neurological problems in children. So it's something to consider. With that said, I want to make sure that everybody knows that it's important for everyone, no matter how old you are, to eat your fruits and vegetables. And I realize not everyone can afford to buy all organic produce. So I found a group called the Environmental Work Group, and they are a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization that is dedicated to helping people be healthy and keeping the environment healthy. And they come out with a list every year of the Dirty Dozen, which is the top 12 popular fruits and vegetables that you probably want to buy organic if you can afford it because they're most prone to toxicity. They also have a guide called the Clean 15, and those are fruits and vegetables that are least likely to have toxins on it. So you're probably safer if you can't afford all organic, go ahead and buy the conventional side. And I have a tiny little cheat sheet to give you with that information. But some examples of what's on the Dirty Dozen. For example, Strawberries are always at the top of the list of the dirty dozen. If you want to buy strawberries, look for organic because they're the most prone to toxicity. On the Clean 15 side, avocados tops the list this year. They have a harder, a thicker skin, and you're not going to eat it, so they're least likely to have so don't feel so bad if you don't buy an organic avocado. Other examples of clean produce, we've got bananas and then onions. I was interested that onions were on the list. A couple more examples of dirty dozens. You want to buy organic would be spinach and definitely grapes and apples. So I can give you the full printout. In conclusion, we've talked about some of the difference between conventional and organic produce. I've also given you some ideas on how to look for food that's better for you and your family. But I want to stress again that it's just important to eat your fruits and vegetables, just as we've all learned growing up. And maybe there will be a revival in people being intentional about eating their fruits and vegetables. We can continue to hope for that. And when possible, choose organic. I'll just leave you with that thought. Seasonal, local produce is best. And if your favorite fruits and vegetables are out of season, go to the freezer section because that's an excellent place to have your fruits and vegetables throughout the year. And I will hand this out. It's a little tiny handout. You can throw in your wallet or somewhere. Might be helpful. Thank you.
I would like to have 1 minute, the timer put 1 minute on the clock, for you to write down comments for Erin.